Welcome to Thought Crimes, baby.
All right, welcome to Thought Crimes, everybody. Of course, this is your homie P Solo, along here with
Sincere Ignorance, and we have a special guest with us today, Brandi Kane.
Yes, we have here Brandi Kane. Now, get this. Of course, she is a veteran MC, a songwriter from South Central Los Angeles. She has been on tours with 50 Cent, E40, Young Jeezy. She's also been featured on records in the industry with legends such as the Isley Brothers, Kelly Rowland, Destiny's Child, Snoop Dogg, and many more as well. Miss Brandi Kane, welcome to Thought Crimes.
What's up? What's up, y'all? Thanks for having me. Peace, everybody out there listening. What's happening?
Yes, absolutely. How are you doing, of course? How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you, too? Good to hear from y'all.
We're doing good. You know, we're definitely doing good right now. On our end, trying to push forward and showcase people who are making dope music like yourself.
Yeah, totally appreciate it. Totally do. You know, that's going to go a long way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, one thing, if the people have not been familiar with your music, and some of the people that are familiar with your music as well, of course, we're going to have examples. We're going to have the links in the video and as well as the podcast below as well. Now, you are having a project that is coming up, The Dope Man's Daughter. Now, that
Volume
is
2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Volume 2.
Okay.
Volume 1 came out a couple years back. It's still available, like on Dat Piff and Dub CNN. It's, you know, people can still find it online. So it's been a couple of years in between projects. I'm more of a, quality over quantity, and I don't really too much try to just rush my work out. So I got probably about 2 albums worth of stuff, just marinating, and but I'm gonna get it on out there because it ain't no use in sitting on it either,
No, absolutely. Now, Brandi, if you could explain the meaning behind the title, "The Dope Man's Daughter."
Basically, true story. That's how I kind of grew up. My mom was more in the square end of life, and then when I would go to my dad's house, it was just a totally different story. I mean, he was pretty much selling some big time dope in the early '90s and throughout the '90s, and till he had a good little run, and of course like most people, that run comes to an end, and we've seen it all fall down, and he did his time, did about 15 years, and he's out now. He's been out for a couple of years now, and he's turned his life around and everything like that. But I just came up with it one day. I was like, sounds like a pretty catchy and provocative title, and not only that, but like I said, it's a true story. And sometimes it's just funny because if people can't remember my name, they remember that. They're like, "Oh, what's your name again?" The Dope Man's Daughter. So yeah, I'm kind of glad that I rolled with that as a title, and yeah, I'm just gonna come up with the follow up, to volume 1, which will be volume 2. I'm not gonna go like part 10 with it, you know what I mean? Like a lot of rappers, they never change up the name of the mixtape. Like this would probably be it, you know what I mean? I'll probably do Dope Man's Daughter Volume 2, and then I'm gonna move on to some other things,
Well, you sure about that? Because I mean, we about to get like a car to 12, so that happens. Might as well ride the wave.
Yeah, nah, I think that's going a little too far with it for me personally.
Yeah.
But hey.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to know what are some of your influence, Brandy, when it comes to hip hop music, but also outside of hip hop music.
Well, as far as inside of hip hop, the typical legends, you know what I mean? Your Tupac, your Snoop Dogg, DJ Quick, Lady of Rage. As far as on the newer end of, people that came out probably, 2000 and after, or, mid 2000s and after, like that. I think T.I. is super, super dope. I totally respect the business moves that Nipsey Hussle has made, and that's also an acquaintance of mine. We from the same area, so that's just to name a few. And the Lady of Rage, she was a major influence on me, and I've also been honored to being acquainted with her throughout the years, and receive her approval and her blessing. So that's been dope. And even just everyday life, I can get inspired. A lot of times my best ideas come to me when I'm in the shower or when I'm driving on the freeway. Anything can inspire a bar, or an idea. I don't always get to put it down in the time that I want to. Or, if I'm driving or something like that, of course, I can't write something down, or, I might have to pull over and then jot it down or whatever, or record it into the phone real quick. But, yeah, just, even, the dope stuff, even the whack stuff, when I hear stuff that I just can't stand, that inspires me. Like, oh, let me kill this off, right?
Yeah.
Or when I hear that's something that's extra dope, I'm like, oh, like, I got to get on that level. Like, I need to spit like that. I need to come like that. Why I didn't think of that,
I like that. And when you were speaking on some of your influences, when I listened to your rhyme pattern, some of those people, I can hear snippets of it. You have your own voice, but, like when you brought up DJ Quick, or if you kind of brought up as well as T.I., right? Because, he's a dope lyricist. He just, sometimes people denote that to a degree sometimes, but when it comes to your rhythm and how you bounce around on the track a little bit, you're very limber lyrically, and that's the thing I enjoy hearing from, like, just different rappers, period. Sometimes regionally, if somebody has a draw or they're a little sluggish with it, or if they just have a hard, crisp flow. But I noticed with yours it's very animated on different tracks when it comes to your lyricism. So, with your influences, though, and how you've been able to project yourself in the industry, one thing when I was doing my research on you, I understood you didn't only just do rap. You don't, just do rap. You're also a talented songwriter, and you've done voiceover work for Target and Carl's Jr. as well.
Yeah, those are some of the things that, can kind of keep you afloat sometimes, when other things may not be getting you any checks at the moment, but those are things that I've always been kind of tapped into with even Coca-Cola, doing commercials for them, even adult movies. I've done music, film scoring and vocals for adult films. Believe it or not, and more recently with the Target and the Carl's Jr. stuff, and those are like little radio commercials. Even political campaigns. I mean, I was on the bandwagon at the beginning of, back in '08. We had did like this cipher for Obama, and I was like, they got a lot of play up in Northern California on some of the stations up there, some of the R&B and hip hop stations up there. Mm-hmm. Now, I wouldn't have done it again the second time, but that's another story. But also I can't leave out my choppers like Twista and Tech Nine. Those are two major influences on me too, and I have to give it up to them too. I just try to. I consider myself versatile, and I believe that every track is different, of course, and every track kind of speaks to me in a different kind of a way. So, I try to mix it up a little bit and not get sleepy, as you say.
Well, what I like about it is, even though you have all those influence, like Prince said, you still maintain your originality. Sometimes people like to just try to imitate one particular artist that, they really think is the best or that really speaks to them. I really like people who they sniff out those artists that speaks to them or those inspirations, but they still make it their own. They still create their own identity. And was it important to you to have your own identity?
Oh, absolutely. I never wanted to be a biter. I mean, the cloth that I'm cut from, I mean, that's just a major no-no. That's just something you don't do. If you was biting or you was imitating somebody else's swag or style or rhymes or anything like that, it's like you gonna get talked about bad, and you can't even come around here no more. So, that was always important to me, and just in life in general, I've always been my own individual self. I never imitated anybody else's personality. You know what I mean? So even in my music, although I may admire other MCs and love what they do, I never wanted to obsess over, trying to necessarily sound like them, and I've never really, had too many issues with, comparisons anyway. So I think that, that's always come across to people that are listening to me, that I'm, coming with my own thing,
With you, because you've been able to move around about, consistently, one thing that's not necessarily a focal point when you hear, rappers speaking about music is the music industry itself. For you, Brandi Kane, if you could, articulate to people that are listening and even some, aspiring rappers, could you convey to them how important it is to understand the business side of the music industry?
That's everything. I mean, it can make or break you, we've seen examples of both sides. We've seen artists who've just gotten, drugged through the mud and, like they say, treated like a prostitute. And just, next thing you know, they in the magazine crying about who did them wrong and what executive stole all their money, and then, but, maybe they didn't read their contract. And then we've seen the more educated, the more entrepreneurial spirited artists, like the E40s, the Master P's, the Cash Money Camp, even though they're going through their thing right now, but the way that they came up, a lot of the Bay Area artists, coming just totally independent, and like Jay-Z said back in the day, your single was 99 cents, mine was $4. Those things make all the difference in your career. I mean, even Too Short has talked about it in different interviews. One word of negotiation, one word different made the difference in millions of dollars. If he would have negotiated, to the left or to the right, just a little bit. So that's everything. I've always been adamant about, being a student of the business first and foremost. And that has helped me to avoid, mistakes along the way. I mean, I've been in positions where I could have signed on the dotted line, and but who knows? I would have gotten fucked in the long run, and I could see that from a distance. So it wasn't worth just jumping the gun and just to try to get on in that moment and wind up in debt and sitting on the shelf anyway.
The infamous shelf where so many projects are right now.
I mean, some of the greatest material that I've heard, from people in the industry, with deals, has been unreleased stuff. And I mean, I think back on it sometimes and I'm like, wow, that group, they had to deal with Def Jam and they played me their whole second album, and, it was pretty classic, and it was produced by Timbaland, and that shit never came out. I mean, literally.
Wow, yeah, Def Jam. We've seen what they did, most notably Kendrick Lamar and Not Kendrick Lamar.
You
I'm
mean
saying
Big Crit?
Big Crit. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, Big Crit.
He's another one. I gotta mention him too. As far as on the new school tip,
Yeah.
I love Big Crit.
Yeah, Big Crit is one of my favorite rappers. But
he's pretty hot with the production too.
Yeah, man. But when he signed to Def Jam, I was like, "Oh Lord, help him."
That's why he came with that mixtape after the fact, saying it's better this way, right?
Yes.
If you listen to that record, he's kind of basically saying like, "I should have just left that shit alone."
Do you think it's also really important to be able to read people outside of the contracts as well? Because some people also find themselves in situations they didn't want to be, with being around people that was more so manipulative and not being able to catch that sooner.
Yeah, and that's happened to me in my own career. I've been under a production team, which we made great music together, but there were other issues with the individuals surrounding me, where they had bad relationships in the business that I didn't really know about completely. And, some people will pull my coattail to it like, hey, he's kind of cock blocking this deal for you, right? Dr. Dre wants to get at you, but he's standing in the way, Now, this is all after the fact, of course, now people didn't tell me this while it was happening. But, when I look back on it in hindsight, I could see some of those things being true. Mm-hmm. But at the time, my loyalty was in place, and, I didn't want to waver. I wanted to be, I wanted to show, like I said, again, I wanted to show my loyalty and ride with my team. But again, some of their issues with other people, with executives in the business, and, unfortunately hindered me just by association. So, I can say that I was under, a little bit of manipulation as far as just believing everything that came out of their mouth. You know what I mean? Just thinking that, their word was golden when it wasn't, bottom line, so, but I'm thankful for those experiences. It just molded me into the artist that I am today, and you live and you learn, and that's all you really can do.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have to read people, and the contract might be good, but is this team good for you? Are these people around you, are they good for you? You got to look at all those factors. Are they into trouble? Are they into the streets too much? Do they have bad blood in the music business where nobody want to do them a favor? And you know what I mean? Or nobody ain't looking out for them, or have they burned bridges in the past? And then you're the artist and you're just in the middle and you can't get nowhere because nobody don't like your manager, or nobody's fucking with your producer, and then you just kind of in limbo. People want to fuck with you, but they don't want to fuck with the team. So that could be a problem.
Wow. Now, that's incredible. That's incredible. As we've seen it played out in the music industry in some of these, I call them soap opera narratives, where mm-hmm. certain dynasties are falling apart because one guy was too hot-headed or too much of a bulldozer in the sense of trying to knock everybody out the way. So once you're in those situations, and let's say somebody's listening right now and they're like, yo, a lot of people, they kind of want to mess with me, but come on, man, my homeboy's an asshole, literally wilding out, flipping out, talking about let's take it outside. Brandy, how were you able to cut ties with those people and just say, hey, you're hindering me. I appreciate the energy, but you're being stupid. You know what I'm saying? How were you able to cut ties from those people?
Honestly, the ties were not completely cut as far as this friendship went. So that doesn't always have to completely go out the window. But in my case, particularly, the individuals that I was working with, they just kind of fell off and lost their enthusiasm, as far as my project went and as far as their own production was going. So I just had to continue on being an artist, regardless of what the producer or the production team or the management team is going through. They're having issues or they're kind of jaded with the music business. And, I'm like, okay, well, that's your experience. I ain't been all fucked in the game like you. So I need to keep moving, and you just got to keep rolling, no matter what. If you're going to have other, crew members, you have producers that'll fall off, you have rapping partners that don't want to rap no more. You know, I've been through it all. So at the end of the day, you know, I was rapping before I met you. I'm gonna keep on doing this shit. I'm gonna keep it pushing. I'm gonna work with the next producer, that's whoever else is getting in the lab and who wants to get it in, you know, because I ain't ready to stop.
I like that. You keep the enthusiasm going, because that is important. Sometimes you have people, they jump on board, and then after a while they're tired or they're impatient. So you have to keep that tenacity going for yourself. Now,
and luckily, you know, I wasn't tied into any kind of any paperwork at the time, so it was much simpler for me. And like I said, it was more of it wasn't like I was stepping to the people like, yo, you fucking up my career, I gotta get rid of you. It kind of gradually fell off, and you know, I just ended up, you know, continuing doing my own thing. They did their own thing. They dibble and dabble here and there with music sometimes, but you know, not on a consistent basis. But so other people that may have contracts and, you know, paperwork that's binding them to people, you know, you may have to get a lawyer involved. You may have to get somebody to buy you out of your contract. And that's when it gets a little more hairy. And, you know, hopefully, though, you know, people out there, you got to make sure that, you know, if you do sign things that, you know, always the shorter the better.
I like that. I like that. Have you faced anything personally within the industry that you felt you had to muscle your way through the industry just because of this or something extra that people see that's like maybe a labeling on you or an added staple to you?
I think that sometimes like certain personalities, maybe my reputation might precede me a little bit as far as being a feisty person or, you know, something like that. I think that may be like a slight, something that I have to kind of, you know, maneuver through people that may not know me personally. It's like they may have heard like, oh, well, Brandy, she don't take no shit, or, you know, she's feisty. Well, she's going to tell it like it is. So those things can be intimidating sometimes to certain people.
Really?
But a lot of times it's more so you come across as an artist, as a personality that's not easily manipulated and is not, you know, easily fooled. And people don't want to deal with that. They rather kind of deal with a dummy, you know, a talented dummy, not somebody that's talented and, okay, you too damn smart. You know.
Well, yeah.
So,
yeah, we can't steal the money.
Yeah.
Can't steal the money.
Yeah. Yeah, you know.
What'd you say, Sincere?
They can't steal the money from you, so they get mad. Because, you know, like you said, they want a talented dummy so they can rack up, like, millions of dollars and have, like, a cash cow.
Yeah, and you start asking too many questions. And it's like, hold up now. We don't want to deal with you. You got too much. You thinking too much.
well, so, like, okay, we said the reputation of being feisty. I mean, it's not like you pistol whipping anybody in the studio.
Oh, they don't like people who's direct, who know what they want. They're focused. You know, that's why, you know, from what I've seen with some of the people who get into the industry, you know, some of them get put on drugs just so they can be easy to manage and steal their money. You know, people forget when David Bowie first came out, he was all on drugs, coked up. So most of the money he made, it went to his producer and his manager. He didn't get anything.
Well, not only David Bowie, it's happened to a lot of
TLC,
them. Yeah,
you know.
Jimi Hendrix, Lil Wayne. You can throw him in there right now. You don't know what planet he on. You know what I'm saying?
Prime example.
So for them, so for the people that come at you, they like, you know, she's too coherent. We can't get her on promethazine. We can't get her on lean. You know, she thinking too much and she asking too many
can't
damn
get me on
questions.
the casting couch. None of that.
The casting couch, exactly. You know, so for you,
I done had that one too. You know,
get out of here.
You know, well, you want to make it in this business, Brandy, you need to come and get in this hot tub upstairs. I'm like, get out of my car.
Yeah, that is terrible. That's another thing. Like, when you run into people that are actually legit, I bet you actually, you know, for you as a person, you hold on to them because I dealt with a little bit with rap and stuff, and I just on like a local level, I saw how like shiesty guys were. You know what I'm saying? Like promising a lady to come in and you look, if you sing on this track, but you know what I'm saying, at the wood we gotta go out there and hang out, holler at my homeboys. I'm like, nigga, it's just a few notes. What does you got to do for that? You know what I'm saying? So I used to see that a lot. So you said people would try to press you to try to manipulate you and get certain things out of you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I think like almost whatever genre you may be in, pretty much every woman that's trying to be in any aspect of entertainment has probably run across one or two creeps that, you know, will kind of proposition you. And I guess in their mind it's worth a try. You know, you might go for it. You know, the last girl did. So, you know, you might, and, you know, but, you know, it's something it's kind of commonplace. But I think for certain people, after a while, you know, word will get around that, okay, you know, she's not with that, or she is with that, you know.
Do you think that's, do you think there's a double standard there? For instance, like, there were guys that I used to see locally, like you in California, you know, we in Texas. I would see guys locally that had a bad reputation of like basically whooping an engineer's ass in the studio, but people would be eager to work with them. Whereas like as a woman, let's say they're like, yo, Brandy, get on the casting couch. And you're like, no. And then that word gets spread around. It's like, I don't want to fuck with Brandy. Do you feel there's a double standard there?
Well, let me say this. First of all, some engineers do need their ass whooped. Because I wish I could have whooped a few engineers' asses myself. They'll piss you off in the studio. The wrong engineer will really piss you off. Well, yeah. I mean, I think that a lot of times if you're not willing to, you know, play the game, quote unquote, then the next thing is, you know, they may not tell the truth about why they don't care for you anymore. It's like, oh, well, she has an attitude, when really it was just that I didn't let you fuck me. You know, that's not having an attitude. That's just you didn't get your way with me, and now you don't want to really tell the truth about why we ain't working together no more, or why we don't get along, or whatever. You know, because you probably got checked after the fact, and you know, now I'm the bad guy because you came at me fucked up.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, and then, you know, for men, it's like, what casting couch? You know, for a guy, it's like, they're diving on the casting couch, if anything, you know. You know, so it's definitely something that, you know, we come across as women in the world, period. You know, whatever industry we're in, you know, we see it happening. Like you guys have had your show on, you know, people like Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and all of these sexual deviants that want to, you know, back women into corners and ruin them professionally if they can't get their way with them sexually, you know. So, but, you know, that's just one more thing that we deal with in, you know, this society that we live in. It's not just in the music business. It's just this world, you know?
Yeah, it's really bizarre because you have people who have a history of domestic violence or a history of being very volatile, whether it's a Bill O'Reilly who's been able to work in the industry for decades and everybody knew about his temper and also the allegations of how he was handling women. But then when I look at someone like Monique, she only had one alleged bad incident with Lee Daniels, and now she's marked like Kane or something like that. Marked for death because of one bad alleged interaction with one person. Meanwhile, you have people who have luggages of bullshit that they've carried into the industry, and people are like, yeah, sure, we'll work with him.
yeah, and you know, though, there's always this stigma of a black woman who's outspoken and no nonsense, of just she's not, you know, when it's a man, oh, he's a shrewd businessman, but when it's a woman, she's just a bitch.
Yeah.
And Monique, like you guys said, you know, she couldn't even live down a character that she played in a movie. Right. You know, that is like everybody wanted her to actually be that person in Precious.
Exactly.
When she's far from that, she's a comedian. That character in Precious was basically kind of evil.
Yes.
And you know, we've never seen that in Monique in real life. So I think it's just her getting the short end of the stick. But I'm glad that she stood up for herself and that she's going back to what she really knows how to do and going back to her core audience. And I think that she's going to be all right. You know, I think that people are, you know, her core fan base is going to stand behind her. And, you know, we all know how black women will support something if we are behind it, you know, O.J. Simpson included.
Yeah. O.J. Simpson and his extremely extraordinary forehead.
Yeah, he did have a long ass forehead.
Bro, I mean, let's put the forehead in handcuffs first. Then we'll talk to the rest of OJ. But here's the thing, though. I like what you said there, Brandy, because what it stated a little bit earlier in the live stream a couple days ago, you notice they kind of pivoted their attack against Monique based on her character she portrayed in Precious as well. If anything, Miss Parker from the Parkers is more likened to Monique's character. That's
her
who we.
Personality,
Yeah, that's her
She's
personality.
A really sweet woman.
Yeah.
She looked out for a lot of people when she came to the industry. A lot of people said she had a warm personality, and then all of a sudden, overnight, was she supposed to be this demon? How did somebody switch like that?
But
you know,
that's how fast they slide black women under the air of being the angry black woman, or they just wear them out. So for you in that the rap industry of hip hop, you know, I always wonder, you know, from your perspective, because that's one thing when I listen to your lyrics, like even when you had your song and you was talking about, you know, the killings of a lot of black men in the industry. I mean, not in the industry, but the police, dealing with the police, and I thought that was a dope song. But when I listened to your balanced, you know, social commentary, I said, but it's crazy though when I think about a woman, and especially as a black woman MCing, how is she treated by the men in her industry? Because as I've made it, you know, and sincere now, we talked about this several times before. Rap music, particularly, it's one of the most unique forms of music in a sense of where the place of the woman is virtually erased. You know, it's like as if she doesn't exist only in the sense of, you know, I'm fucking her, or she's an object, or she's on my arm like luggage or Louis Vuitton. So when I see that,
Yeah.
I always wonder what was your perspective on that.
We went down we Prince and I, we started to look at, you know, the blues and rock and roll. We know all genres have their issue, but we always saw the legendary counterparts, and it's all the women, you know, like Sarah Vaughan, if we're talking about jazz, and just so many of those women in blues and other forms of music. But then when we went to hip hop, we were like, it started off, you know, as an apex with those women being visible. Then all of a sudden, it's the abyss, even though those women, of course, are still out there. So we found it kind of strange, you know, to see that absence, like that huge void.
I think a contributing factor to that is the misogyny that exists within hip hop music. You know, I mean, we love hip hop, you know, we live it, but we can't deny that that's a huge part of it. And although women have been visible in hip hop, have been embraced in hip hop to a large degree, we've also been vilified in hip hop. We've been hated and blamed and shamed and all of those things, and name called. And so, you know, I think that is a little bit of a or a big part of, you know, a huge contributing factor to the dimming of the shine of a lot of women, you know, that could be, you know, more successful, you know, within the genre. Because honestly, I think that, you know, now she's not a billionaire, but I think that Queen Latifah should be on the pedestal that Ice Cube and Dr. Dre are on. Honestly,
yeah,
I think
Great
that
point.
I think
Yeah.
you know, and she's not, but she's still around. Like you said, she's mega successful. She's done a lot of things, and to me, in my personal opinion, you know, a record like UNITY is one of the most motivational hip hop records ever, and it was so important to the self-esteem of young black girls that, I mean, that record is timeless as far as importance. It's right up there to me with "Keep Your Head Up" by Tupac, you know. And I don't think that she gets the credit that she deserves. And, you know, along with, you know, a lot of other female pioneers that came a little bit before her, you know, that we don't really mention. Like you said, like we dick ride Africa Bambaataa, who has been, you know, now accused of being a fucking pervert.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, only have a couple of records that you can even think of, but he's been praised as this god of hip hop, this pioneer. You know, when there was also women in those early times too, like, you know, Roxanne Shante and, you know, people like Sparky D. And you guys might not even know who that is, but look her up. Sparky D is one of the female pioneers from New York of hip hop.
Oh, yes, I know about her. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, and I gotta say to me with Roxanne, I was always perplexed why she didn't get talked about more, because lyrically she was vicious. I mean, she was like up there to me. That definitely like top 3 for me. And I thought she could take a lot of the guys down, you know, just gender neutral. And I wonder why people don't talk about her as much either.
Well, it kind of goes to what Brandy's saying here. It's there. You know, I always tell people, I don't give a fuck how tight people get in their feelings. The misogyny is there. It's bad. And also, I like what you brought up, though. I just kind of want to curtail it just a little bit back when you was bringing up Queen Latifah. You have a great point about that. How come she's not mentioning the likes of, like, Ice Cube? For instance, I'm sure you remember when she did Name Calling Part 2, right? Now,
and I love her for that record.
It was
both of them.
It was a record that it was empowering in a sense, like how people was reacting to the Remy Ma thing today, right? But if you go into Queen Latifah's Name Calling Part 2 and how she broke down, like, let's say the image of a Foxy Brown or any subliminals from Lil' Kim, she was basically correcting the order and the image of a woman and saying, look, I'm gonna let y'all do you, but don't get it twisted. Don't try to force that on me, because I still do me, and I come from a different zone with this shit, right? And I remember listening to that, and it crossed my mind. I was like, yo, Queen Latifah was like a crazy lyricist, and she had a very commanding presence on the microphone.
And another thing I also liked about that time, even though of course anybody who's into rap, you want people to be competitive, but they were like, look, there's room for different type of women. I don't like in hip hop, like if you could have room for different type of guys who do different type of messages and they're in their different lanes, don't ask me to always speak about Nicki. Don't ask me, oh, do I think this is bad? Like, it's enough room for different type of women to be out there and to say whatever perspective they have.
Absolutely.
Right. And you know what, Prince, you brought up something earlier in your previous question, and you talked about how you know, the guys, sometimes they only want us around, you know, like with arm piece, or, you know, if they're fucking us or whatever. And I had to start turning down a lot of collaborations because, you know, guys that would want to do a song with me, you know, that's the only type of record that they wanted to do. Either it was like a gender war type of record where we dissing each other and, oh, you a bitch and you a dog ass nigga and you ain't shit and don't come home tonight and, you know, bitch, I'm gonna kick you out the house, and, you know, this gender war type of thing. And I'm like, I'm not into that. Or you want to bend me over and fuck me every which way on the record, and I don't want to really rap about that either all the time. You know what I mean? So I had to, you know, start letting people know, like, look, if this is a fucking song or a, you know, a record where you getting your dick sucked all through the record, I'm not the female to collaborate with on this record, and I need you to go back and listen to some of my stuff. And come at me again, you know, if I even still want to work with you.
I like that. I like your approach and how you said, look, that's not what I'm down for, because especially the one I remember, and people forget, like I pay attention to Ludacris when he had, what was her name?
Shauna?
Shauna. When he had Shauna.
Super dope. I love her.
Yo, she's killer, right? But
I got to meet her one time too. She came to Kelly.
Oh, that's what's up. Yeah, and that's another thing. Yeah, Shauna, she really does, like, she embraces, like, when she runs into, like, women in the industry. From what I've heard from other women, they're like, yo, she's very down to earth. But look, I grew up in Atlanta. All right, when we first heard Shauna, right, we was like, shit, she's better than Ludacris.
You know what I'm saying?
That's the first thing we said. So, Luda, you know, he's dope in his own right, but he originally said, oh, you know, my next album is going to be a tag team album with me and Shauna. It was going to be called Battle of the Sexes, right? All of a sudden,
he never dropped it.
He did drop Bottle of Sexes, but it was just him with them stupid singles talking about how low can you go? All that dumb shit, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. So he did that, but I used to tell friends, I said, you know why he ain't dropped that shit? Because that she would have outshined him on the majority of the records. Like even when she used to play with both of the microphones on stage, like she has a crazy flow pattern.
Well, the ego is just really deadly, you know,
Right.
because we talked about a couple years ago that incident where that woman, she won like some hip hop battle, and throughout the rounds she beat all the guys, and then all of a sudden she got dragged out and killed in her car.
Yeah, they set her on fire.
Set her on fire. So it's and of course we're not saying everybody goes to that extreme. Of course that's a extreme of it, but it's the issue where it's like I don't want to get beat by a girl. I don't, you know. It goes into other fields as well. You know, I don't want to get out dribbled by a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you hear it on the elementary school playground.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up as an athlete, so you know there were times when I would beat the boys in basketball, or a boy might try to pick a fight with me, and I might beat up the boy, and you know, it was always a big thing, a big shame on the boy for getting beat in basketball, or if you got physically beat up, then that was even worse. But even just a sport, even it could have been tic-tac-toe, and you got beat by a girl, and it's like, okay, come on, everything is not, you know, based on your gender. Sometimes I just might be the better athlete, or sometimes it might be the guy. It's, you know, I'm not big on the gender war thing, but going back to Shauna, it's funny. I think she just recently did an interview with you guys' favorite host, Vlad, and I think she spoke on that, like, you know, some of the cock blocking that Ludacris was doing.
Yes.
You know, during the time that they were, you know, partners, but she was supposed to actually do something also with Twista, and that's something that I would more want to see, because that would be a better exchange of lyricism, you know, back and forth, like, because she can chop and rap her ass off crazy. And I was going to say that I actually first heard Shauna, now this is a little further back, when she was in a duo called the Infamous Syndicate. And she had a partner, and they had a video it was a song, and it was just like a kind of a single that they threw out there. They never really put out a full project, but I remember watching the video back in the day, and then later on, years later, then she resurfaced with Luda. So, you know, I'm definitely rooting for her, whatever she's doing. You know, she's a dope MC, and she was a real humble individual when I met her. Real cool.
Oh yeah, she was easily, the flamethrower in the crew, The thing about it, you know, the ego it is very powerful. And especially the fragility of it when you pertain it to men. You know, like a lot of brothers like, well, you know, the white man's ego is this and the white man's ego is that. But if you're talking about amongst black men, it's extremely fragile. I mean, even to denote the first thing happens if a guy disagrees with another man. Like if a black man disagrees with another black man in the street, the first thing he's going to attack is his sexuality, or try to undermine him and denote him and say, you know, you're a woman, you know, so you like, or they'll synonymously use the word bitch with woman. So you acting like a bitch, or you acting like a gay ass nigga, right? So that's the level of fragility that's there. All right. And you're talking about dealing from one black man to another black man in a simple disagreement. If you from the hood, anybody knows one bad argument can lead to an act of violence. Now, if you flip that and then you incorporate the woman in there, the black woman in there, right? And in many regards, there's this crazy, incessant jealousy, what I've seen from some black men against black women, because they feel that somehow they're the apple of white men's eyes or white society's eyes, when many aspects, the statistics show differently about what black women are going through. So if you're talking about rap music, where it's clearly braggadocious, right? And it's been synonymously prodded off of the black man's ego. Then you have somebody like you come in and you spitting heavy bars. It's like, I tell people all the time, Jean Grey was a far superior lyricist than Talib Kweli, right?
Oh, by far.
You know, but that ego wouldn't allow that lady to fly like that. You know what I'm saying? When I used to listen to, there was men and women enjoy their shit, just like men and women can enjoy your shit. But you have so many guys in the industry, from what I've heard, with fragile egos, where they're doing things like blocking you or doing the blacklist or spreading rumors or, you know, lying about just certain things. So that's something that as a community we have to get past that filtration process.
When you define women as weak,
right,
or you define a sexuality as weak, anytime somebody's compared to that or they get outbeat by that, they're gonna deem it as shameful on them.
Yeah,
I'm someone
that's
superior.
The suggestion. That's the suggestion. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know, it's like you remember the movie Love and Basketball? You know, when Sanaa Lathan,
he pushed her.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's that type of stuff. You know, so like when I was growing up, I'll just be real with you because, you know, sincere now, we joke and, you know, to some of the ladies, if they come in and they hear me say something to her, why are you talking like that, Prince, right? But then they'll hear her come back on the flip side. They be like, oh, okay.
A lot of times I be starting with Prince, so.
Yeah. So the point is, though, you know, if that's something that's like, to me, that's what's been really one of the aspects that's been one of the preventative aspects of allowing hip hop to really grow. And I told people when Sincere and we was talking about, for instance, we brought up Amber Rose, right? You cannot fight the universe or nature, right? You have manifestations of the feminine energy that will aspire or shine through people like you, Brandi Kane, right? Where you like, boom, I still got bars, I got lyrics, I got the microphone, you know, and most of these guys can't fuck with me lyrically, right? Then on the flip side, when guys start complaining about an Amber Rose or a Black China, you spent, what is this? What hip hop is going into almost 40 years now?
Yeah. About 50, I think, right?
No, it's about 40, 30 years, somewhere up in there, 30 years, 30, 35 years or something like that. If we counted from what, the 77, 70, 70s?
Well, some people say 70.
Okay, the 70s all the way up until now. It's been a good time, right? And you had a time in the 90s where there were manifestations of that feminine energy along with the duality of the masculine energy principle as well. And people being able to rock, because what is it, the Funky 4+1 or Funky 5+1 or something like that? Yeah. You know, they had a sister in there, and she was always the attention getter in the group, right? But you move forward, and you start getting this hyper masculine energy, and then it goes into the mode of suppressing, you know, women off the microphone. With feminine energy, it's like any other energy. It doesn't dissipate; it just shifts. So now you have, like, when you had the other women, let's say like Kareen Steffens, right, or the Superhead, when people were calling her Superhead, and she was writing. And then you know, you had the what they call the video vix. Aspects of feminine energy is going to show up somehow. You know, it's going to appear somehow. So when I see that, I remember because we saw this video about Ed Lover, right? He was
complaining about Amber Rose.
But I said, well, what do you expect though? These women, they're going to be like, well, I'm going to get in somehow. I'm going to get it somehow, you know? So if I'm bringing the lyricist to the aspect of it, then you see women that see, okay, that's not really working. But on the back end, they can become some of these other girls and also get some of these guys. Because how many times Rick Ross has been got? You know what I'm saying? You know,
a lot of times.
You know, so I'm just saying, so it's going to happen. And I just don't think hip hop is in a good place when we play that game of gender block and gender wars.
That's why
and shit.
I haven't gone after, like, there would be guys who would be like, why is the Gabrielle Union not going after Amber Rose? And because, you know, they put her on the pedestal. Why I don't go after Amber Rose like that? I was like, I don't go after her like that because that's the lane you created. I mean, that's the, you know, if you always putting Instagram models in your videos or these other women you're pushing, and then all of a sudden they realize how to work the game so they can get their own type of brand. You're like, man, this bitch just sucked and did this and that. I'm like, you helped that lane, you know, be created. And these women who were in that lane, they figured a way out how to make money now.
Right.
And now the guys feel insulted, you know, like, this bitch should be making money. Well, you know. Well,
yeah, and that's why I bring it back to women like Brandi Kane, where I personally feel like, you know, like I said, I enjoy the diverse lyricism.
Man, yeah, we listen to those tracks from you, Brandy.
Yeah, and the thing is that if a lot of guys move their egos to the side, you know, particularly the power holders, and don't be somebody like L.A. Reid, and just allow women to breathe on the microphone instead of trying to get people to breathe on their dick, then the industry would be much better. And I'm always frank with it, and I don't understand what is it we can't see about that.
Yeah, it's not complicated. People making it complicated.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you made something kind of come to my mind, because I have a relative who's, well, I have one relative that's in the music business, and he's doing pretty well for himself. And I'm like, yo, cousin, like, let me open up or something. He's like, oh, I don't got control of that shit. I'm like, nigga, yes you do. And then another cousin of mine he's been doing some pretty big things, and going on different little tours and stuff, and I don't get an invite to none of that shit. But we got songs together, and he want me to show up to a bunch of other shit, but like all the stuff that really kind of counts and would go a little longer of a way for me and would allow me to network better, I don't get those invitations. So, it's all good. I already know what's under the underlying, factor behind some of those decisions to not invite me certain places. So,
well, that's they probably more than likely intimidated. Again, I will say this, and just to finalize it here, one thing I do notice is that a guy could be a black youngster and get like notable attention, right? Or somebody can be a struggling ass rapper lyrically, like Young Dolph, right? He's struggling. I listened to it. I said his beats are hard, but man, that sound like some struggle bars, right?
Struggle bars.
I said, Jesus, help this boy, right? But then somebody like, a woman, even if she's on the lyrical dexterity of like an Eminem, or how you approach the microphone, Brandi Kane, or even some other shit, right? Somebody that's really dope that could rival Pharaoh Monch or Yassine Bey, right?
Right.
People still look at them with like eyebrow raises, like, really? You know what I'm saying?
It's the superiority complex, because it's even in the comment section in the video when we made that topic about women in hip hop, a guy made a comment saying, well, tell me what female who can rap even better than Drake. I'm like, there's literally thousands of them. Yeah. No, I said, well, Rhapsody has a better catalog, and she actually has a classic album. Drake doesn't. Unless you include in his mixtape, but he said it was a mixtape, so it don't count. So, I mentioned these women, and then he's like, he don't know what to say. I was like, exactly. Rule number 1. You can't say something is the way it is if you never listen to it. You can't come to me and say, oh, well, these guys are automatically better when you didn't even hear the other side. So that means your opinion is void and null. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, man. So that's the point. We want to kind of cap it off on Brandi Kane. You keep killing them. Any way we can, we'll make sure we push your music. Let the people know where they can go, and your followers. You can let them know, hey, man, you hollered at Thought Crimes, and folks, y'all listen to Brandi Kane. And Brandi Kane, if you can, tell the people how can they get in contact with you, if they want to book you, if they want to, do a collaboration with you.
If they want to follow you and buy your music.
Where can they find you?
Okay, so for anybody that wants to find my music, I'm on iTunes. I'm on SoundCloud. I'm on Dat Piff. I'm on Dub CNN. Several different websites other than those that I just mentioned, but those are just to name a few. Shots Fired, the single that I put out last year, that's available for purchase on iTunes. Body Bag with Don Gunn. A couple things are on iTunes, and other stuff is up for free. There's some things on SoundCloud, like I said, that is like a little bit more recent material. Reverb Nation, et cetera. YouTube. I have my YouTube channel, which is just Brandi Kane, BrandikKane. My Instagram is Brangela Davis, like Angela Davis, but with the BR in the front, Brangela Davis. Facebook, everything else is Brandi Kane. Twitter, Brandi Kane. And just be on the lookout, y'all. I'm going to drop The Dope Man's Daughter Volume 2 real soon. I'll be dropping some singles over the next couple of months and going into the summertime. And yeah, it's going to be coming out on Pretty Ill Entertainment. That's the label. Don Gunn is the label owner. And I'm, also playing a role as, kind of vice president, self-appointed vice president of the label, A&R over here. So other females that's out there that's listening, you guys want to put out a single, you want to put out a project in a professional way, we have distribution, holler at us, and, we're all about empowering other women in hip-hop and, lifting up everybody that's hustling and trying to do their thing. And, big up to Thought Crimez, big up to H-Town, big up to my city, South Central LA, Hold It Down, Project Blow, Representa, you feel me? And everybody that's listening out there, I hope you enjoyed this interview, and go find some of the music. I'm all over YouTube. Like I said, you can find me online, and, y'all holler at me with your feedback.
Oh, wow. That's,
and I'll continue to send you guys stuff. The stuff that I sent you guys is all unreleased stuff, with the exception of grinding. Grind work, I have a clean version of grind work on my SoundCloud page, but the version that you guys got, the dirty version with all the guitars going all through it, all of that stuff that I sent you guys is unreleased material. So I just sent you guys that to, get some honest feedback, because my unreleased material, I haven't tended to play it for too many people. So, I'm kind of just going on my own confidence in the record. I'm not getting too much, outside feedback, but I sent it to you guys because I knew that you guys would give me honest feedback. So. Oh
yeah. Well, wow, that's incredible. So, just to curiosity, so you guys also have your own distribution as well.
We do. Our distribution company is XL Distribution, and XL is also one of our producers. He's been in the business for many years. He was one of the original producers over at No Limit. He was down with the production team, Beats by the Pound.
Oh yes.
So, some of those early No Limit hits, like Fuck Them Other Niggas and shit like that. XL is the man behind that music.
Woo!
So yeah. So he's our partner. He's our distributor, and yeah, he's the man.
Wow.
He's the man. And yeah, Don Gunn, like I said, Pretty Ill is her label. That's the label that I put the single Shots Fired out through. And yeah, we just, gonna continue to do our thing. And shout out to my boys Zach and Dax, who produced that record. And we have some other things coming up. And like I said, I'll continue to send you guys some exclusives. I got some other stuff. I just didn't want to put too much in one email, and I didn't want to spoil the whole album for you guys either. So.
No, we're definitely gonna be buying it, and we're really proud of you too. Like what you're doing over there. It's definitely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Brandi Kane. Kane is in the building. She is now leaving the building. We appreciate you so much. Look, like I said, we're gonna link it up there for the people to check it out. We'll be able to drop it out there consistently when you're talking about whenever it gets the chance to actually come into fruition. Yeah, and again, we appreciate you here on Thought Crimez, folks. Of course, this is your homie P Solo.
And this is your girl Sincere.
Peace.
I saw the check, nigga. Huh?
What? Stop.
I'm grinding, I'm working, the timing is perfect. These rappers say they ballin', but they lying. They hurtin', but I'm grinding, I'm working, the timing is perfect. So when you see me shining in my diamonds, I deserve it, cause I'm grinding, I'm working, the timing is perfect. These rappers say they ballin', but they lying. Man, they hurtin', but I'm grinding, I'm working, the timing is perfect. So when you see me shining in my diamonds, I deserve it. I'm grinding, I'm working. I'm just that type of person. If you need it, I can get it. Hit my line, I can serve it. I got working, I got verses. Who trying to purchase? I ain't tired, I ain't nervous. I'm just trying to provide a service.
Go to our Patreon for more. And don't bother me.